Yeah, hi everyone, welcome back. So again, another class on Buddhism. So please quickly mark your attendance so that we know you're there. Yeah, yeah, is everyone here? Okay, super awesome. So 1.0, 2.0, all are there. Awesome. Yeah, चलिए. So सबका स्वागत है भाई. And time जो है okay, we'll see. Right, right. See, this is the right time actually. 9 to 11 was not the right time. Right, for any class to happen. 9 to 11 actually is not a very feasible time. So 5:30, 6 o'clock. This is something makes sense as a class time. A bit more early, but you guys have optional class as well. Right. So yeah. So 9 to 11, that's not the class time. Right? 11 at night. So yeah, very uncomfortable and not sustainable. So this is something which is sustainable. So I request you all to manage somehow. Right. And 5:30 like normal time. Normal batch time for 5:30 only. Mostly your classes will be around this time only. 30 minutes from next class. 30 minutes from next class. See, you all have options at different time, right? At maths, I can shift it to 6 o'clock, right? That's the only thing I can do. I can make it 5 or 6. That is the only you can say option I have right now. Right? I can only request team to do that. Okay, anyway, let's continue with the discussion first. So yeah, so a quick revision. So we're talking about Buddhism, right? Until now, so we're talking about Buddha and timeline. If we place it on timeline, we had taken a detour, right? Detour from 500 BC. So now we are not going ahead on this timeline for some time, and we are discussing the chaos over here, the chaos in philosophy. You can call it chaos, or you can call it an era where actually see, whatever the time will be, right? It will be uncomfortable for few, it will be great for few, right? So it cannot be like there will be a perfect time, which there is a perfect batch time, which is suitable for everyone, right? Somebody is in office, they will prefer it should be like maybe 10 o'clock in the night or 12 o'clock in the night. Somebody will prefer 6 o'clock in the morning. So it will always be there that somebody will be you can say somebody will have to manage, right? And for few of them it will be like great, yeah, this is the time we need. So it will not always be comfortable. So please figure out how you manage. But yeah, so let's continue with this for now, right? Anyway, the class has started, so let's continue our discussion. I conduct a poll on Telegram, right? There we'll have this discussion. So on the basis of the poll, I can make few changes over it, right? So yeah, same thing we did in Sankal, right? On the basis of the poll, Sankal said 8 o'clock, so I said okay 8 o'clock. So 8 was the highest bidding there. So we took that call, we will keep it at 8 a.m. Right, so similarly we'll do this on Telegram. Exactly, so let's not make so many changes. So at least for this week, let's continue with 5:30. Right, at least for this week. I'll do this poll, but at least for this week till Friday, the time is 5:30. So that's so as to avoid any kind of confusion. Right, till Friday it's 5:30. Though I'll do poll, right? But in any case, till Friday it is 5:30. Okay, so let's continue. So now, yeah, so we were discussing that this is the time where so many scholars, so many philosophers are coming in. Right, we found that there were some 360, obviously 300 plus, scholars and philosophers, and out of that we realized that Buddhism became most popular. Right, now there are a lot of reasons behind the popularity of Buddhism, but yes, one thing which we found was personality of Buddha, language used by Buddha is Pali, local language, plus the connection with the Kshatriyas or kings. All these things really help Buddhism. Apart from Buddhism, we had Jainism, we had Ajivika, Charvak, etc. etc. Yeah, so yesterday we were talking about life of Buddha. That was the first thing. And second, we discussed basic philosophy, core philosophy of Buddhism. Right, very simple basic philosophy. That what is the basic philosophy? What is the philosophy here? It was like there are four truths that there is dukh, right? Four truths are there, and it talks about that dukh is there, and dukh can be stopped. You can nirodha, you can get nirvana, right? So why following this ashtangika marg? So we had discussed this ashtangika marg, and once you are there, once you tread upon this path, what happens? You start, you get wisdom, you get a lot of knowledge, your conduct changes, it's ethical, very ethical, and you have mental discipline. And because of all this, you start to see, you clearly see, vipassana happens, right? You start clearly seeing the things. Yeah. Yeah, Sanskrit optional. Let's focus over here. Okay, Vipassana. So yeah, the Vipassana is technically what? Vipassana is now the person will be able to see the things and they will be able to come out of the desire. Now this is a very basic discussion. This is very basic. How they will be able to see things. Right. Now let's go into the advanced part of this. Right. So Vipassana by Vipassana will be somehow will reach nirvana, because if you have that clarity in life when you can see things, right, you can reach where you want. Yeah. Only thing you need is knowledge and discipline. Right. If you have knowledge, if you have right conduct, if you have discipline, you can clearly see and you can reach anywhere you want. You can get nirvana in life. Right. Similar to UPSC selection. So now one basic or the foundational philosophy of Buddhism is the dependent arising. Dependent arising. Now I'm going into some advanced discussion. Right. The idea of the advanced discussion. So let's start. Let's have silence in the class. Let's focus. Yeah. The idea of having this advanced discussion is to see, first of all, UPSC is the favorite topic. Sorry, Buddhism is the favorite topic of UPSC. Right. So it makes sense to understand the whole concept in detail, understand the whole philosophy in detail, so that you are able to logically understand the MCQ. Right. Are you getting the point? Just to invest time in getting the basics of the philosophy and maybe missing the MCQ, it's better to understand the core philosophy, the whole understanding, and then if UPSC asks anything from here, especially philosophy or the advanced part of the philosophy, you'll be able to handle. Also now, if you see the previous questions, today we'll see the previous questions as well. So if you see previous questions, you'll find gradually the level of questions are increasing. Now they have gone into the philosophy as well. They had asked philosophy of Sarvastivadin, right? So Sarvastivadin they had already asked. They have also asked the various branches of Mahayana and Hinayana. So if they can go that deep, right? If they can ask about bodhisattvas, idea of bodhisattvas, etc., that means they will not take much time to reach here. Again, it sounds very advanced, but it's not that tough. So let's try understanding. Pratika Samutpada. Right. Also, there is no end to this. You can go advanced, right? But this much is good enough. So let's focus on this only. Right. Pratika Samutpada. So Pratika Samutpada. Okay, let's focus. This is philosophy again, similar to Sankhya and so many we have discussed already. But this is something much more appealing, right? You'll be able to understand that. You can also relate to this philosophy, right? So try understanding. If you understand, then it will be better. You'll have better assimilation, right? So the idea is Pratita Samutpada. The Buddhist idea, Buddhist philosophy is Pratita Samutpada. Pratita Samutpada is somewhere between Shashvatvada and Uchedvada. Now, what is Shashvatvada? Shashvatvada means that certain things are eternal, uncaused, independent. Right, you must have heard that this thing is from ever, right? It is from Adi Kal, from the starting of the universe, or from the starting of the Big Bang. Right? That kind of concept or that kind of things are Uchedvada. So when you say that something is from ever, you sometimes you say no, that I had this issue. Basically, I forget things, and I had this issue from the birth, from the starting only. I had this issue that I forget things. I'm not able to recall the names of my friends, right? Because I don't recall names. That's my habit. That was always there. So if you have that kind of idea for few things, if you believe that they were always there, they are eternal. Right, and for example, you can say that I have I'm introvert, or I don't feel good with the people. I don't feel good within the mob, right? Within the you can say party or circle or something. I don't feel good about it, and it was always there. It was always there, right? It is eternal, right? Since I remember, basically when I was very young or maybe a kid, right? I was introvert. I was not at all comfortable with people. But somebody the second thought says that when something is destroyed, right, after destruction, suppose after death, there is nothing after death. Right, again. So, for example, again, somebody can say that there is Atma. The Brahmanical philosophy says that there is Atma or there is soul, and soul is eternal. It was always there. It can never ever die. Right, it is always there. You cannot destroy a soul. Right, it is independent, uncaused. You can never ever destroy a soul. It was always there. So that is what Uchedvada. Sasvatvada. When something is Sasvat, right? Uchedvada. So when death happens, so when somebody dies, there is nothing. There is no soul. Something like that. Right. Pratita Samutpada is Madhyama. Is somewhere in between. Right, it says that yes, things have existence, but they are neither eternal nor annihilated completely. Neither they were eternal, or nor they were ever they were annihilated or destroyed completely. It is somewhere in between. That concept is Pratita Samutpada. Now, what does it mean, Pratita Samutpada? So, Pratita Samutpada definitely basically talks about dependent origination. Right, try understanding this. That anything which happens, right? Suppose A action happens. A is dependent upon so many other things. Right, A is dependent upon B. Something happened C, and C has caused A, and something happened, and then B is also involved. E is also involved. There are so many things which are actually causing A. Have to understand? Yes. Okay. Wait. So what Pratita Samutpada or dependent origination means that in your world there is nothing predetermined. There is nothing random, and there is nothing like direct causation. What does it mean? Right. Nothing carefully. It means that there is nothing in this world. Whatever happens is not predetermined. There is nothing like destiny in this world. Right. There is nothing like destiny in this world. There is nothing like predetermination. Second, it's not random. You cannot say that whatever is happening is random, chaotic. No. Now, for example, you are there in the class today. It is not predetermined. It is not your destiny to be here. Right. Also, it is not random. Randomly you are there in the class. No, that is also not the case. Direct causation? No, direct causation is also not the case. Now you can say, sir, because you have changed the timing to 5:30, that is the reason I am here. Direct causation, just because you changed the timing. Right, you can say that, but that is also not the case. This is also not true. You are not here because I have changed the class timing to 5:30. Right, you are not here because it is in your destiny. You are not here because it is random. You don't know. We don't know why you're here. No, that's not the case. Right, so there is something else. There is something else which is basically deciding all these happenings, all these actions. Right, and you are here because of so many other things which has happened to you and which has made you come today. Okay, so let's break this down. So to break this down, Buddhism has Bhava Chakra or Janam Chakra. Now again, let me give you one more example before we talk about Bhava Chakra. So assume that, let's say, Shikha in your class is going somewhere, right? And she's going somewhere, and she smells. She was going across, close to bakery, right? Bakery, and there was a smell. This smell is of a cake, and now Shikha has craving for cake. She has craving for the cake, right? Now, if I ask you, why is Shikha having craving for the cake? Right, think about this. Why is Shikha having craving for the cake? Why? What's the reason behind the craving? Now you can tell me, sir, because now before you tell me that, is this destiny? That Shikha was bound to it. It was written in her destiny that one day she will come here and she will smell this cake and she'll have craving. No, this is not destiny. Is this random? I don't know from where Shikha came and I don't know how bakery came and they just collided and now there is craving. It's not random as well. Also, you can say, sir, direct causation because of the smell. She's having craving. Right, because of the smell, she's having craving. So you will go for direct causation. That simply is a direct causation. Right, it is very simple. But again, counter question. There is one more smell coming. It is of a fish market. And Shikha hates fish. Right? She is not having craving for fish. Yeah? If the smell causes craving, then she should crave for fish as well. Maybe there is some other smell, right? And Shikha is not aware what is that. There is no craving for something which Shikha has not experienced. Right? So again, to answer that question, why is Shikha having this craving? So let's understand that when Shikha was 2 years old, in her birthday, for the very first time, she had cake and she loved it. Right? Then third birthday and her friend's birthday, and there are so many birthdays. And every time when she had cake, right, every time when she had cake, she had good feeling, she liked it, and now that cake, liking of the cake has become her habit. Right, now she really likes cake, and now when she smells cake, right, she has craving. It is because of so many things which has happened in the past. It is not because today she got that smell and now she loves it. No, it is not like that. It is because of previous so many things, right, so many experiences, so many decisions, right, so many, you can say, events which has led to this smell causing craving to Shikha. This is Pratita Samutpada, dependent origination, right, dependent origination. It is dependent on so many things. So many things that you cannot even take that out. You cannot even take this out and say, third birthday cake or fifth birthday cake or which cake we don't know, and how it all started now we don't know. Now it is because of something which is now inexplicable. You cannot extricate. You cannot make these threads away. You cannot make these threads apart. You cannot tell me how this craving actually happened. Right? And now let's come to Bhava Chakra. So Buddhism for desire, for craving. Why we took this example of desire? Because Buddhism is about desire, cravings. So Buddhism has given this Bhava Chakra or Janam Chakra, right, or Samsara Chakra. There are at least 12 such processes, 12 such causes, right, that governs our life. right? It will not even end with death. And it will only end when ignorance is destroyed, when you are clearly seeing. How this happens? Again, this is not like you have to, you have to mug this up. No, that is not the case. I just want you to understand the whole concept. That is the reason I'm showing you this chart. But otherwise, nothing is important over here. Right? Nothing at all is important over here. Just recognition of the words. Right? For example, what happens? Somebody, because of ignorance. Right? The first stage is ignorance. You don't know that if you do this, you can fall into trap of something else. Right? You don't know that sometimes, the first time you are going to have that cake, right? You don't know that you will fall into the trap of liking the cake, and then you will have craving for the cake. The first step starts with ignorance, right? Ignorance. The first step is ignorance. Then what happens? Then is sanskar. When you had some volitional formations, or basically some choices you made. Okay, let's have cake. The first thing is ignorance. Second is, let's say, decision making, where you decided that okay, let's have cake. Right? Next is passion, vijnana. Right? Vijnana is basically consciousness. Consciousness means now you know that you're going to have cake. That kind of thing. Then now namaru, you have given some name and form to it. Right? For example, you have given this thing a name, cake. Right? This is cake. Right? So now there is some name and form, and now your mind is able to recognize cake. Okay, now this is cake. Maybe those of you who had never, experienced or never eaten apple pie, right? Or maybe cheesecake. Right? So now if I say cheesecake, nothing comes to your mind. Why? Because you have no name and form of cheesecake in your mind. Right? Maybe anything else. So for example, you're a vegetarian and you have never had mutton. So if I say mutton, then nothing comes to your mind. Right? It's like, it must be something I don't know. Right? So yeah, so you have given some name and form, and now after this name and form, also what happens next step is sadyatana, six senses. You have touched it. Right, you have touched it. Any of your senses, maybe sometimes they touch, or maybe eyes, or maybe tongue, right? Something. So you have touched it, and now it has led to the contact. Now it has led to some sense impression. I ate it and I like it. So now that sense impression is there. Now that like feeling is there, that is Vedana. Now next is after this feeling. Next is now I will start to have craving for it. Yeah, I liked it. I want to have it again. I liked it. I want to have it again. Right. So this is craving, and then next is you start clinging to it. No, I want it, and I have, I need it anyhow. Bring it to me. So that is now clinging. You are desperate. Now you might think that's a cake, clinging. Right? Why is there clinging to cake? But think about something like something like power. Right? And now you have tasted power. You have experienced power. And now you are clinging to power. Right? For example, the seats, the MLMP seats, or basically the powerful seat. Nobody wants to leave that powerful seat because they have tasted it, and now they have clinged to it. I will not leave the seat. Right? Something like that. And now it has become part of your existence. It is part of your becoming. Right? And because now you are trapped, so now there will be birth or rebirth. You will keep on doing this, keep on following the same thing. That leads to decay, death, etc. Finally. Again, you don't have to logically understand everything, right? How this happens. I just want you to understand the dependent origination part, right? How this bhava chakra or janma marana chakra or basically samsara chakra traps you, right? And because of this whole process, right? Because of this whole process, you get trapped, addicted, right? Now it can be on a very, very extreme level as well. Somebody offering you alcohol, somebody offering you smokes, right? Because of ignorance, because you don't know what it can do, because you don't know you can really get addicted to it. You think that it's first smoke and nothing will happen. I leave it today, right? Because of that ignorance, you go forward, and finally you cling to it. Now it becomes part of it, becoming your existence. Right, so this process, and see, this is the core, dependent origination, where you understand that desire is the base of base of Buddhist philosophy. Right, how that desire actually manipulates you, how that desire or craving actually plays with you. This is something you will understand once you go through dependent origination or Pratitya Samutpada. I hope you got this one. Right, so yeah, so Pratitya Samutpada. So now Pratitya Samutpada means that everything in the world, right now mark my words, everything in the world has cause. Right, it is dependent, it is relative. There is like no real thing. Right, it is not real. You understand now that craving to smoke or the craving to have that cake is not real thing. You have created this because you get in touch with it. Right, for example, once you were in class 12, right, you were clinging to some exam preparation. Right, remember, maybe you were preparing for ITJ and you were so passionate, determined that yes, I need to crack ITJ. Something like that. Or maybe some relationship in your in past or something where you were so much determined that I need this. Without this, my life will not happen. And if you think today, it doesn't even matter, right? And the same is the case. That actually it is relative. It's not absolutely true. It's not like whatever you are experiencing at this point of time is true. It's relative. It's conditional. Right? And it is subject to birth and death. And once you are part of it, you become part of the samsara, rebirth cycle. The cycle will go on. And that is the reason nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. It is all dependent. It is all relative. So we must understand this world. Nothing in this world. Nothing is permanent. It's all impermanent. Right? Even these desires and everything you have created it. It's not permanent. It's not real thing. Right? It's relative. It's not absolute. Yeah. So maybe two words you can take. Major takeaway. One is relative. Other is impermanent. Yeah. So yeah, relative. So there is neither absolutely real nor unreal. Right? Relative. It's relative. Right? Okay. Relative itself is self-explanatory. So now so this is like core philosophy, the main philosophy. If you understand Pratitya Samutpada, it's like you understand now 90% of the philosophy. Now there are some derived philosophy from this. Right? One of the derived philosophy is your Anatmavad, Anatta, Anatman, Naratmavad. All these things are same. Theory of denial of eternal soul, doctrine of non-self. All these things are same. Whatever is us. So one thing that you can remember from here to ensure that you recognize the name is Anatta. Anatta. Now we must not forget. Technically, Buddhism is part of that research chaos. Yeah, it's part of that chaos. So it should offer some alternate philosophy. Are you getting the point? Alternate philosophy to what? Brahmanism. Right, it should offer some alternate philosophy to Brahmanism. Right, now Brahmanism says that there is soul, there is Atma, which is Ajar and Amar. That means it is immortal. It can never ever die. It can never ever die, and it can never ever be destroyed. Right, now alternate philosophy to this. So what Buddhism offers, right? It has to offer something else, right? So what Buddhism brings to the table is Anatta, which means no, sir, there is nothing like permanent soul. Right, this is permanent soul. So Buddhism says no, there is nothing like permanent soul. Right, now let's get back to Buddhism. So this theory is Anatta. There is nothing like nothing like self. There is no non-self. Right, so there is no unchanging permanent self soul. Are you getting your point? So Buddhism is not in favor of a permanent soul. Right? Brahmanism offers this concept that there is a permanent soul inside us, but Buddhism is not of the view that there is a permanent soul. Then what is there? Now it says that yes, there is a soul. We are not denying that there is not a soul. There is a soul, but this soul is basically made up of 5 things. 5 skandhas. There are constituents of soul. Soul is not just one thing, but it is made up of other things. So made up of 5 things. So one is Roop, that is form, Vedana means feeling, there is Sanjana, Sanjana is basically perception, Nazariya, Sanskar is tendencies, and Vijnana, Vijnana is Chaitana, consciousness or passion. So basically it is made up of all these things. It is not something which cannot be destroyed, which is permanent. No. Soul is not permanent. Or basically there is no concept of permanent soul in Buddhism. If somebody says, now if there is a question, if UPSC asks that, sir, tell me that Buddhism believes in soul. Right, though UPSC will have to qualify, the statement is not complete. They will have to tell you whether permanent or temporary. Right. But if it is right that Brahmanism believes in soul. Right, Brahmanism believes in soul, but Buddhism declines that. Is this statement correct? Yeah, this statement is correct. Why? Because when they are comparing Brahmanism and Buddhism, it automatically means that this soul is a permanent soul. Right, again, absolute statement like Buddhism believes in permanent soul or Buddhism believes in soul. Now this statement is incomplete. It has to say that Buddhism believes in temporary soul. This is correct. Buddhism believes in permanent soul. This is not correct. Right? Buddhism believes in soul, or Buddhism basically does not believe in soul, which Brahmanism believes automatically means this one. Right, so that is correct. I hope you got the point. So temporary soul is fine, right? If somebody says that there is temporary soul in us, made up of 5 things, that is fine. But we don't have a permanent soul as per Buddhism. So this philosophy is called as anatta. Right? The word is anatta. The soul is made up of 5 skandhas. It is not permanent. Right? So yeah, so permanent unchanging soul is denied. Acknowledge the changing self. Changing soul is fine. Right? Also, Buddhism acknowledges ego. Ego is fine. Right? What is ego as per Buddhism? Second thing, ego. Ego is when we recognize ourselves with some trait of ours. For example, again, similar to your Sankhya philosophy, that if you say that my buddhi is Abhishek Srivastava, that is ego, right? So Buddhism recognizes ego, that yes, ego is there, and whenever you recognize yourself ego, whenever you cling yourself to ego, there you get trapped, right? You cannot reach nirvana. Right? You have to get out of this. So ego, Buddhism recognizes, but soul, or especially permanent soul, Buddhism does not believe in permanent soul. I'm repeating again. So Pratita Sampada, now you know. Soul. So what is the take of Buddhism on soul? Permanent soul? No. Changing soul? Yes, that is fine. Soul for Buddhism is made up of 5 floating things, 5 skandhas, right? 5 skandhas. It is not important to mug up all, but yes, you should be able to recognize that there is Rupa, Vedana, Sanjana, Sanskar, right? Vijnana. Maybe you can make some short form, RV square S square, RV square S square, something like that. Right? 2 times V, 2 times S, and R. So RV square S square. At least this much you'll be able to recognize. R is for Rupa, V is Vedana and Vijnana, and S is Sanjana and Sanskara. Something like that, right? This is important. Please keep this in mind. Okay. So now coming to the third philosophy, again derived from the Pratita Samutpada and Anatta. Third philosophy, which is Chanikavad. Chanikavad or Santanavad or Nityavad. Again, all the same. That also called as Anicca. But the famous word or the most popular is Chanikavada. Chanikavada, theory of momentariness. Chanik, right? It is there for a moment. It's a very beautiful philosophy. Now it is also called as Sanghadavad. Right? So now we already know that soul is made up of all these things. Also matter. Matter, if you see, matter is also made up of atoms. I think I'm going a bit fast. Okay, so let's slow this down. So matter is technically aggregates of the momentary atoms. Soul is the aggregate of. So this universe is made up of 2 things: soul and matter. Is soul permanent? No. Is matter permanent? No. Matter is not permanent, right? It is made up of some momentary atoms, right? So if this soul and matter both are not permanent, that means in this world nothing is permanent, right? But you will say, sir, you are there, things are there, everything is there. So how can you say that nothing is permanent? There is something right now, right? Yes, it is permanent, but if we pause, can we have look on a particular soul and matter? Yes, true, right? So for there is nothing permanent. For a moment, it feels like that the things are permanent. Again, very deep. Again, I'll try again. Okay, so the thing is that in this world, now think like this. One philosophy now you know is anatta, which tells you that this soul is not permanent. Also, the matter is not permanent. That means the whole world is not permanent. It is impermanent. Yeah, are you all aligned to this point? Impermanent, right? But if we just pause, or if we just look at this moment, can you see me? Do I have matter over here? Yes, I have matter. My soul is inside me. Yes, it's there. Is it changing? No, I'm still here. Right? If you really pause, right? Or if you look at this moment, right? At this moment, nothing is changing. Right? At this moment, you feel like that yes, this person is there. No, how come you're saying that I'm changing? I'm not changing right now. Right? Nothing is changing right now. This board is here. This everything, pen and everything is here. Nothing is changing. But you must understand, nothing is changing for a moment. Right? Nothing is changing for a moment. Maybe after 100 years, this board will not be there. I will not be there. This pen will not be there. Are you getting what? So things will change with the time. So time is the process, or the time is the deciding factor. But for this moment, right? For this moment, things looks like yes, it is there. And that is theory of momentariness or Chanikvada. For example, this river. You see this river, right? Does this river look stationary to you? It looks like that this river, this water is there. But if you realize this river is flowing, it looks like that it is there because of the continuity, because of the motion, or because of the continuous addition of the more things. Right? Really, if you see this river, right, this particle which looks like it's there, but it's not there, because it's already moving. But you feel like that it is stationary because there is always another matter coming from behind and taking that place. So it looks like it is stationary. It looks like that it's there, but it is not there. It's moving. Right? So for moment, if we pause this, might be that is there. That water is there, that the atom is there. But in the real sense, it is moving. It is momentary. Right? That is the theory of momentariness. Same can be discussed for a flame. The flame looks stationary. It looks like there is something, but there is a continuous flow. Right? And because of this flow, theory of flux or freezeless flow. Things are changing. Even I am changing with the time. Don't you think that our body decay? Like our body decay over 100 years, let's say, right? Or basically we do age, right? So now, in these 1 minute, have I not aged? Right? Yes, I have aged, right? Is this not wearing down? Yes, it is wearing down. But right now, because it's continuously, we are observing at a moment, so it all looks stationary. I do not look like I'm aging because it's just momentary. So this is Chanikvada. Now the application, what is the application of this is? Application of this, now you see, there is neither being nor non-being, but only becoming. Right? There is nothing like, okay, there's a being or non-being. It's always becoming, it is always in the motion. Now what does this mean? Again, Shikha. I just remember Shikha's name, so that is the reason I take Shikha. Okay, so Shikha. So Shikha today, today when we see Shikha, right, is this the same Shikha which was there 1 year before? Or is she the same Shikha which will be there after 1 year? Right? We realize no. Before 1 year, 1 year ago, Shikha was not smart enough, or Shikha had 1 year lesser experience. Shikha had 1 year lesser knowledge. After 1 year, after completing the whole batch and this course, right, Shikha will be different Shikha. So this Shikha after 1 year is much different from the Shikha today. And there is no Shikha today. It is momentary. She is growing. She is evolving. So there is nothing like being or non-being. Right? It is always about becoming. If we are becoming something, we are always in the process of becoming something. It is not like we are this or that. Are you getting a point? There was an ad, right? In that ad, Shah Rukh Khan said that, मैं Shah Rukh Khan bana nahi hu, mujhe abhi Shah Rukh Khan banna baki hai. Right? That means that he is becoming Shah Rukh Khan. He's in the process of becoming that Shah Rukh Khan. Shah Rukh Khan, what we know today, will be different, or basically is maybe lesser than the Shah Rukh Khan we will know after 5 years. Again, maybe you're not Shah Rukh Khan, so yeah, ignore. But yeah, so that is the thing. That is nothing like being or non-being. It is always becoming. So technically, look at the statement. Reality is a stream of becoming. Right? It's always the stream of becoming. These becoming of these processes. This is the reality. Right? It is not stationary. It is not like things are not changing. Things are completely changing, and that is the reason nothing is permanent. Right? This is what Buddhism preaches. That nothing is permanent. Everything is changing. Right? Everything is changing. I hope you got this point. Right? We need not go in more detail. So yeah. So again, after these deep thoughts, just want to understand that you have not slept. Everything is fine with you. Still in the same world. Chat is on. Yeah. I hope. Yeah. Chat. Let me know if you are still awake. Yeah. Everyone. Got it? It is all yours now. You have the notes and everything. Right. Let's focus on discussion. Let's focus on mind maps. Right. Wherever mind maps are there. This is philosophy. Right. You just have to understand once. Okay. So if you start writing, then these paragraphs are not meant for writing. This is for you only. That these sides are with you. So let's not give time. Let's not allocate time for writing. Right. And you write whatever you think is important, or whatever you gain. Right. You can write down. But otherwise, you have these notes. Right. As far as ego. So actually, ego is a side topic. When we talk about Atma, that question arises whether Buddhism believes in ego or not. Right? That's a side question. Right? Yes, they do not believe in Atma, but do they believe in ego? Now, the ego again comes from your Indian philosophy part, your Vedic philosophy part, where we were discussing about ego in Sankhya philosophy. Whether Buddhism believes in ego, yes, they believe in ego. Right? This is a side topic. Do not intermix with Atma. Right? Atma is different and ego part is different. Again, it's there on the sides only because it's there. So I had discussed because Buddhism is like they agree that if you recognize yourself, if you associate with yourself with the other traits like mind or body, it's something like that. Right? So you will be trapped in again your desire and all. So do not get trapped, or basically do not get attached, or basically do not recognize yourself with the ego. It's a side topic. It's not nothing related to Atma. Okay. Yeah. 12th bhavchak, see, it's about 12th bhavchak is aging or decay, death, final death. Right? Jara marana. Again, it's not. Again, I told you that this is not like how you have to mug up all the processes and everything. It is not like that. Also, UPSC will not ask in mains as well how this happens. Right? That is not something. That is not something that UPSC asks. UPSC might ask something related, right, in your MCQs, and this discussion will help you take that call. Also, this theory, this theory of momentariness, if you really understand well, you can use it in your essay. You can write it in your ethics answer. Right? So in ethics and all, it will be super helpful. Plus in MCQ, right? If in MCQ, see, essay, history is something which will also help you with essay and ethics. Right? If you understand all these things, again, Jain philosophy will talk about the and all, right? So all these concepts will actually help you write good answers. I think in ethics also it will give you a lot of orders, right? A lot of good points to add, right? It is like very valuable. If you talk about Chanikvada, if you talk about momentariness, if you use this line, see, yeah. So there is neither being nor non-being, but only becoming, right? Very impressive line. If you say reality is a stream of becoming, right? Reality is nothing but a stream of becoming, right? So I'm not saying like Chanikvada. I'm saying use these lines. There is neither being nor non-being. Everything is conditional relative. There's a movie called Oxford Murders. Oxford Murders had a statement which says that truth is relative, and we choose as per our convenience, right? And so such kind of statements will help you, maybe write good essays, answer now. Should we use Sanskrit word in answer writing? If you're using code or something, yes, you can write. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, guys. See, I understand that there is affinity for dictation, right? Yeah, try to understand my point as well. If there is huge affinity for dictation, see, what if I dictate and you write notes? There's huge affinity, and you are right when you say that, because you have seen that kind of environment where the things were being dictated and you are writing now, right? I'm not against it, I'm not pro it, right? My point is that dictation is something which will kill our time, right? Dictation is something, it makes, by the way, it makes my life very, very simple, right? Now if I sit, right, and now if I start dictating, okay, open your copy, doctrine of momentariness, M-O-M-E-N-T-A-R, like, this is like waste of time for us. Now you are actually beyond graduation, right? Now it's like you have to understand the crux. With the class you need to scribble, and then you have all these notes, right? See, with me you need to extract as much discussion as possible, right? Dictating, I can dictate the same thing, right? How is that useful? Think about that. Practically think about that, right? If I start dictating the same thing, it's very easy for me, very, very easy for me, right? But it is not the right usage of our time, right? Our usage should be, our discussion should be, this time should be more about content discussion, looking at new things, right? Exploring more things, understanding new concepts. Yeah. So also why it is not advisable? Because the syllabus is very, very vast, very vast. People have misconception about ancient India, right? They think that ancient India can be finished in like 5 lectures, 10 lectures or something. No, it's not. That's not the case, because ancient India prepares the foundation for medieval and modern as well, right? If you understand this well, today I was teaching this. Arya Samaj, right? Now Arya Samaj is basically based upon, Arya Samaj is back to the Vedas. If you don't understand Vedic philosophy, how do you understand what it means back to the Vedas? right? Whether it means back to the Vedas or back to the Upanishads. Right? When he says back to the Vedas, what he really means, whether he wants to take us back to the Rigvedic time, or he only wants to ensure that kind of purity. You will only understand this part once you have this discussion. Right? This discussion is, I understand this is deep. I go in this discussion because I believe that UPSC is somewhere reaching this level. Right? Otherwise, I could have left on the basic part only. We could have left this, right? Till now, UPSC has not directly asked Chanekwa or not. And because they have not directly asked, that's why I'm optimistic. They might ask. Right? So please think very practically that it is not at all advisable. It is, see, some teachers do that, and I respect that. You get notes to revise and all. But in today's world, I don't think there is some paucity of content. Right? It is not that you don't get notes. You have enough books, you have enough material, and I'm saying these sites are good enough. Right? These are your notes. After the class, sit with the sites, make notes if you want to make notes. If you want to directly study from here, please go ahead. Understood? If you want to follow some standard book, have the habit of reading standard book. That's okay. That's better. Right? You can have it. But if you don't want to buy any book, or if you don't have any book, that's perfectly fine. This content is basically made up of so many books. Right? So even if you don't buy any book, it's perfectly fine. These sites will be like super helpful for you. Right? So yeah. So I hope you got my point. So let's continue. And please think very, very practically. I understand that you, in your school level or graduation level, or maybe even in UPSC preparation, there are teachers who dictate things. Right? I have a different philosophy. I believe in discussion. I believe in discussing or basically exploring more content. And my content is exhaustive, and that is the reason I hardly get time to finish my content. Right? So having that free time and dictating and having fun, that is that's very tough for me. So I hope you understand that and respect it. So yeah. So with me, I cannot I'm not the teacher who dictates. Right? I'm really sorry. Okay. So yeah. So let's go ahead. So middle way, Madhyam Marga. Okay. Aditya Raj Shukla. It's tough for me to relate to your references and okay. And am I too fast? Yeah. These three are basically derived from Pratika Samudra. Right? Technically, Anatta is not derived, by the way. Right? Pratika Samudra. Anatta is not derived. Anatta is basically the standalone theory. Here there is non-self. Right? But the idea is key three basic things are non-self, impermanence, and sufferings. Right? Though these are standalone. These are not dependent on anything. A little bit fast only today. There is a reason behind it. I got the runway, no? Okay. Till today, I had a class before your class. I was very much exhausted in that class. So yeah. So that is the reason I am a bit faster today. So yeah, I'll slow that down. Okay, so the next philosophy is middle way. So basically what we are doing, wait. Coming back to the index for the part. So yeah, so we have already studied the four noble truths, right? Noble eightfold path, karma and rebirth, nirvana, and now we already know dependent arising, right? And we have already seen non-self, which is anatta, and the impermanence for the part, that is your Chanekwa. Right? These are the basic consequences of the whole philosophy. We also know suffering. So suffering is also done. 5 aggregates. So 5 aggregates is basically your non-self has 5 aggregates, Atma has 5 aggregates. Last thing, the middle way, Madhyam Marg. Right? Madhyam Marg is like the most famous philosophy. So yeah, let's finish Madhyam Marg, then I'll add a few things. Madhyam Marg. Again, very simple. Madhyam Marg means that Buddha realized that any extreme is bad. Whether you go for too much ascetic behavior, right? Sannyasi behavior, that is also wrong. And if you go for extreme luxury, right? This is also wrong. You should not go for extreme asceticism or extreme luxury behavior, right? Enjoying life, enjoying luxury. No, it should be somewhere in between. Right, some penance, so basically some you can say abstinence, or basically some you can say not basically maybe if you say practically maybe having fast one day or some days and enjoying some days, something like that, having some cheat days, but otherwise a normal life, basic life. So any extreme, whether it is ascetic behavior or extreme luxury, both will destroy you. Both will both are something is not recommended in Buddhism. Right, so that is your middle course. So you have to stay in between, right? For example, studying for let's say 16 hours on a daily basis, this is also not advisable. Or maybe studying only for not studying for 1 hour just for the namesake. This is also of no use. That somewhere you have to maintain like 7 to 8 hours on a daily basis so that it is sustainable. That is Madhyam Marg. Maybe having some entertainment in between. Maybe watching one movie in a week. That's okay. Or maybe not series. Stay away from series because that's huge loss of time, right? But yes, one movie or some stand-up video or something, like some comical video, something like that. That's fine. Few days, giving extra mile or maybe going to 10 hours, even that is fine. So you need to stay, the middle course. And same thing is advised in answer writing, right? Even in answer writing, it is recommended that you go for the middle course. Right? Not going to the extreme that no, this is very, very bad, or saying this is nirvana. No, saying giving some positive points, some negative points, and steering the middle course. You can incline a bit to whichever side you want, but not going to the extreme part. Right, not always applicable, but suppose there's a question that let's say role of governor, right? Role of governor. It is said that the governor is like a football between center and state, right? And why? Because governor is appointed by the center in the state. So now the chief minister and the party mostly will find that they are complaining against the governor. That governor is basically behaving like an agent of the center, right? Otherwise he should behave like the head of the state. Instead, he's behaving like agent of the center. So now from both the sides, in center complains that you have got to the state and now you have become part of the state. So governor is basically somewhere bouncing between center and the chief minister, basically the party or the state. Right now, if somebody says that governor is like a football between them, now you cannot say that yes, he's a football. You can say no, somewhere in between. Arguing about both the sides. Why they are saying so, why they should not say so, and finally minor inclination to one side and conclude. Okay, let's continue. So Madhyam Marga, so middle way. Yeah. So if you do all this, now if you clearly see what the life is, and if you stare at the middle path, if you understand, let's go back to the first slide. Yeah. So if you follow these 8 paths, right? Let's start from start. And a final summary conclusion. And we found that there was Tatwari or Satwari, 4 noble truths. Right? 4 noble truths, which says that there is dukh. Dukh can be stopped if you follow this mark. If you follow this mark, you realize that your mind will be clear. You will have right concentration. You will have samyak samadhi. Right, and you will have right concentration. Now, once you have right concentration, right, you will have a lot of wisdom. Your conduct will be right, and you will have discipline, mental discipline, and then you will be able to clearly see. Right, now you can see what you can see. You can see actually what you can see. You can see this happening to you. Right, you understand if you get involved over here. Suppose there is a new offer coming to you. That, sir, do you want to try this now? Because you can clearly see, you understand what is this. If you touch this, if you if you start this you can say behavior, then you are trapped in this. Are you getting a point? Because now you can clearly see, right? Anything which attracts you, or anything a new offer or something which will have some impact on your mind, right? You understand that part, and you start dissociating from it. Right? Suppose you have craving of the cake, you realize that, oh, this craving is wrong because how this has happened, it must have happened this way. So this craving should not happen. Now you try to dissociate. Because of that clear thought, clear understanding of the things, you will start breaking this bhava chakra. Right? And gradually with the practice, it is not like this is like random. This will happen, overnight. No, it will be like after a lot of practice and all, after understanding all these things, gradually you will dissociate yourself from all the desires. Right? Once you dissociate yourself from all the desires, once you understand that there is nothing like permanent self, there is nothing like soul in us which is like permanent. It's all changing. It's all impermanent. There's nothing permanent. Even our soul is not permanent. Right? And it's all chanic. It's all momentary. And you understand that part, and you understand that no, I don't have to indulge into any way. Neither going for asceticism or maybe going for the extreme path. Right? Both ways I can leave, and then that kind of clarity gives you nibbana. This is ultimate goal. Once you have started clearly seeing things, and now you have dissociated from everything, right? From all the desire, right? This is your ultimate goal, right? And complete cessation of all the earthly miseries, etc. Suffering will end now by removing desire. Desire is gone. Right? So nirvana is also called as, when you get the statement, extinction of the flame of the lamp. Right? Extinction or blowing out of desire, blowing out of ignorance, blowing out of attachment, blowing out of greed, hatred. All such feelings will be gone, because now you can see, now you exactly understand how things happen. Till now you are getting trapped into these practices, into these habits, because you are not aware about this bhava chakra. But now you are aware. Now you can concentrate. So now you will break this bhava chakra. So now you realize that nothing is permanent. Everything is dependent on the other. So you will see yatha bhutam. Right? You will see things exactly as they are. Right? And now this bhava chakra will break. Now the samsara will break. This birth and rebirth will break, and you are in the state of nirvana. Right, that is nirvana. Now this nirvana can be of two types. So what happens once I get nirvana? Will I become inactive? This word does not mean anything to me. Think about this. So Buddha got nirvana, right? But after nirvana, he traveled and taught for 45 years. So it is not like if you get nirvana, you will be inactive. No, right? You can still be active. You can still teach people, but you will decide how to react to a particular stimuli, how to react to a particular, let's say, offer or desire, or basically something coming in. Right, and whatever is given to you, you will control your reaction. So now nirvana can be categorized into two types. One nirvana is anupadesesa nirvana, where after getting nirvana, suppose I get nirvana, I decide that now I'm free from all the desire. I'm also free from desire to live, because now there is nothing to live. I'm nirvana. Right? It's time to go. And so in this nirvana, anupadesesa, this is nirvana without remainder, and the state will die. State will starve to death. Right? He will die. Death of the state will happen. Right? Another nirvana is swapadesesa. Right? Swapadesesa nirvana, where he is still with the desesa. Swapadesesa. This is nirvana with remainder. Right? Only passion and desires are gone now. State will continue to live. Understood? Now he will go through all pleasant and unpleasant sensations, right, until death. But how to react to these sensations will be now different, because he has nirvana. Are you getting point? He will not, and she will not lead any sensation to go inside him and create any sort of cravings. Right? So this is basically nirvana. So yeah, so this was asked in 2013. Which of the following describes best the concept of nirvana in Buddhism? Okay, right. Let's have a poll. Short 45-second poll. Okay. Read the question carefully, though I don't think you can miss this, because just now you're studying this only. Okay. Yeah, one match did not get the poll, some technical issue. Okay, so I have reported the issue, so let's continue our discussion. Which of the following describes best the concept of nirvana in Buddhism? Right, the extension of the flame of desire, the complete annihilation of self. No, when did we study complete annihilation of self? No, the state of bliss and rest. Now, many of the students who have not read this, that will be confused that it is state of bliss and rest. Right, it is not rest, it is not inactivity. No. Right, the mental stage beyond all comprehension. Right, so those who will not be able to comprehend will talk like this. Right, so yeah, the extension of the flame of desire. Just now we understood that this the flame of desire which will be gone. I don't know why those who attended the poll made mistake. Just now we were studying this only, right? Okay. So now what is the role of Dhamma? What happens to this doctrine? So now it is said that Dhamma is like a raft. What is Dhamma? All this philosophy which you have read. Right, all this philosophy. What is the role of this philosophy? This philosophy is like this raft, which will help you steer you towards nirvana. Right, this side is nirvana. But once you get nirvana, you need to leave the raft. Raft is only meant to take you to that side, right? To actually take you to nirvana. But after that, once you have attained the nirvana, then now you know how to keep control and everything. Now the raft is not important. In fact, doctrine is immaterial. It's only ashtangika marg. Think like if the marg was given, but eventually have reached this marg is of no value, right? You can continue meditating, etc. That you can do, but there the Dhamma part of the Dhamma ends, right? So yeah, so you need to leave this raft. Okay, so where is God in this philosophy? Was there any God in the philosophy? We realize that there is no God in the philosophy. Buddha is not talking about any God. He's also not denying God, right? So technically, this philosophy is agnostic to God. Whether there is God or there is no God, Buddha is not talking about him. If there is God, that's okay. If there is no God, that is also fine. Right? Here, very importantly, that your as per Buddhism, you know, nirvana is about your personal pursuit. Very important. It's your personal pursuit. Personal pursuit. Think about this. It is about walking on that Ashtangika mark, figuring out, clearly seeing everything, and reaching nirvana. It is about personal pursuit. Does here grace of Buddha or the blessing of Buddha is required? No. Blessing of any god required? No. Any theoretical discussion required? No. Right. So nothing is required. You have to find your own nirvana. You need to walk on this path and figure out how to reach nirvana. Right. It is your personal pursuit. You will have to meditate. You will have to practice. You will have to clearly see and reach nirvana. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. Right. Neither Buddha nor God. So Buddha here is somebody who has given a doctrine, has given you a path. Now it's up to you. Right. Now it's all depends upon you. You need to decide. You need to figure out at how or basically when you will reach nirvana. There is no grace of God. There is no role of God. If God is there, well and good. If God is not there, that is also fine. So early Buddhism is technically agnostic to Buddhism, agnostic to God, and we don't find any mention, any discussion of God anywhere. Okay. Later Buddhism, there will be God in heaven. We'll come to later Buddhism. Yeah. So just for the academic discussion, does Buddhism believe in karma? Karma. We realize yes, karma is important. Does they believe in Atma? No. But temporary Atma? Yes. They believe in rebirth? Yes. God? NA. Not applicable. Do they believe in any kind of rituals? No. Right. One system they have recognized, right? They have recognized that there is some one system, but there is no discrimination. Right? There is no discrimination. Why? Because for Buddhism, everybody is equal. Everybody is allowed. So yeah, they know that there is one system or something, that recognition is there, but there is no discrimination. Also in the text we find that Kshatriya, normally there is no discrimination, but at some places it is found that in Buddhism, Kshatriya is given higher status than Brahmins. Now this is actually you say why survive, right? Now you must understand why Buddhism came into picture, right? Reason behind Buddhism coming into picture. Now, reason behind Buddhism coming into picture was somewhere Kshatriya reaction. Right? Kshatriya reaction was important, right? And if you realize Buddha, Vardhaman Mahavir, and so many princes are philosophers, right? So somewhere Kshatriya has been kept, at the higher pedestal. But normally there is no discrimination, right? If somebody, answer gives you no option but to mark, right? Then you can say that Kshatriya is given higher status. But otherwise, forget this statement. Only recognize that there is no discrimination. I hope you got this one. In some books, yes, it is there. Kshatriya is having a higher pedestal. Right? Kshatriya is given, better status than Brahmins. Reason again. Sorry.
You can expect yourselves. The Lord will do it. By the way, it's nice talking to you.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, sorry. So, yeah. So just if MCQ is giving you no option but to mark, then you can say that Kshatriya is having higher status, and especially it is with context to, especially it is with reference to Brahmans. But otherwise, all Varnas are equal. Right? There is no discrimination. Okay. So yeah. Now again, the question arises that whether Buddhism is a social revolution. Right? I think we have discussed enough. This point we have emphasized enough. So I'm leaving it to you. Right? You need to study this. See how you can. It's a very good question. Was it a social revolution or a religious revolution? Right? What to see in Buddhism? Now it is all about perspective. Right? And you can look at Buddhism as social revolution as well. You can see that there were social levels, that there were issues, and Buddha, or basically Buddhism, is addressing those social levels. Like for example, sacrifices. For example, the discrimination in the society. Right? For example, bringing ethical conduct in the society. So that way, you can definitely say that Buddhism is more like a social revolution coming in. Right? Religion side, yes, you can also talk about religion side, but it's a more of a social revolution than a religious revolution. Right? Okay. So I'm giving this as a homework. 2-3 points I've already mentioned. You can elaborate on it. Now, last discussion about Buddhist philosophy. In Buddhist philosophy, you will realize. Okay. Now, normally, if there is philosophy or if there is a religion, especially a religion, it will address whatever you ask. Suppose you say, sir, what is knowledge? Right? A particular religion will say, Babaji say, this is knowledge. How the world is formed? This is how the world was formed. How the universe was formed? Yeah, this is how universe was formed. How many types of universe are there? Okay, this is also. So normally we'll see that philosophies, or basically the religions, tend to answer all such questions. Are you getting what? They tend to answer all these questions. Whatever you ask from Babaji will say that, yeah, I know, this is the case, this is the case, this is the case. But when the same questions were asked to Buddha, right? When the same questions were asked to Buddha, Buddha's reaction was smile. Buddha has not given any answer to this. Right? All such discussions, questions, what is world, what is knowledge, how many types of knowledge are there? All such doubt discussions he has not taken. Right? He simply smiles. Right? So now it is questioned that maybe Buddha has disdain, or Buddha has a disdain, or he does not like philosophy. Right? Maybe people can say that, because when you don't say anything, silence can be interpreted in many manners. Right? It has multiple meanings. So yeah, so because he was silent, he has not spoken anything on these things. So there are multiple interpretations of this smile. Right? Multiple interpretations. So now we discuss few interpretations over here. Right? And one of the interpretations is very, very important. So yeah. So now, why Buddha is silent? So Buddha is silent. First reason, because emphasis is on awakening. Right? See what happens once you have this theoretical understanding. Right? Because of the theoretical understanding, you do not go for practical part. Right? Sometimes people studying any subject, not only history, any subject, are so happy with their knowledge, with their understanding, their conceptual understanding, they don't go for MCQs, they don't go for answer writing. Why? Because they get instant gratification by saying, they are gratified or happy with the knowledge itself. Yeah, I have that knowledge. Why to apply it? Maybe they're also scared. If they apply, they find out, they need to revise and go back or something. So they will not go for answer writing. Here, Buddha wants you to go for answer writing only. He wants you to focus on awakening, not on Shastra, not in debates. Are you getting the point? So that is the reason that Buddha has avoided any kind of debate or such kind of discussion. Right? He's not into such intellectual discussion. He keeps silent, and he believes that it's a personal pursuit. You need to find it out. Right, now second thing is, reality is devoid of sensory mediation. What does this mean? Okay, so a short story. Assume that there is a lion. No, sorry. Assume that there's a deer. Right? Now this deer name is, let's say, Ramesh. Ramesh deer, one day, he got married to Smita. Of course, Smita is a deer. Right? And Smita and Ramesh are the couple. After some time, they had 3 sons and 2 daughters. So 3 sons and 2 daughters. Right? So let's say Rita, Geeta, Rita, Geeta, right? And then Suhail, then let's say Raj and Rahul. Right? Rahul was the smartest one because he's Rahul. Right? And then Rita Geeta, fought a lot because they are Rita Geeta. And again, some PJs. So, yeah, so Ramesh and Smita, very happy family, very small family, and they were living in a jungle. One day, what happened? What happened? One lion came, right? And they all were playing. They all were playing Ludo, and he saw that they are playing Ludo. And what he did? He killed everyone except Geeta. Why? Somehow Geeta escaped. Right? So yeah, so he killed everyone. Now you have to write down what is the feeling. What did you feel after listening to this story? Yeah, and write it down on the corner of your copy. Yeah. So what is the feeling after knowing this? Was the lion, brutal? Yeah. Should Ramesh do something over here? Wasn't it, wasn't the duty of Ramesh to save his family? Okay. So now coming back. So technically no. This is not the duty of Ramesh to save anyone. This is the family of deer, right? Consumed by a lion. This is a very natural process. I don't know why are we becoming emotional about it. Right? It is like it is food, right? Food. It is just like somebody had his food. Right? Is there anything emotional about having food other than it's your favorite food? But yeah, other than that, suppose your mother calls you and say that food is ready, and you go and eat food and come back. It's not very tasty food, and it's not your favorite, so you will not have any emotion. It's just food. Right? You have to eat food. Or suppose I drink water and I cannot be emotional about drinking water. Yeah, I had water. No, I can't be emotional about it. Why? Because it's natural. It's basic. I'm supposed to have water. So lion is supposed to eat animals. Why are we getting emotional about it? Why? Right? So technically, all these conceptions, all these, the reality, right? It is empty. It is shunya. Right? And it is devoid. Reality is devoid of any sensory mediation. It is shunya. Empty. So technically, this whole position, or basically this whole story, is empty. There is no emotions attached to it. There is no sensation attached to it. And this is very basic thing which happens, right? So reality, suppose again in our life, you think about that. In our life, humans are animals, right? Humans were primates, and from there they have evolved into what we are today, right? But in reality, we have created this game, right? At one point, we were hunting and gathering. You remember? From that point, we started our economy. We created these, kingdoms. Right? Today, we have created our own UPSC. Now we are basically preparing for UPSC. We have created this whole game. Right, we are the one who created the whole game of UPSC and state PSC and everything, and now we are serious about this game. But technically, we are the ones who created the game, and now we are serious in it. Right, we are feeling a lot of things. We are getting emotional about getting selected and not getting selected and all. Right, but in reality, it is shunya. This is also the theory of shunyavada. If you think like this, you can get out of get out of the game emotionally. Right. Anyway, getting back. So this is another reason where we can assume that Buddha was silent because everything is shunya. The reality is technically empty or shunya. Now, next thing is that Buddha is not debating with you, or Buddha is not getting into the reasoning or logic, because Buddha believes, and maybe we don't know, Buddha is silent, right? We are just guessing. So maybe Buddha is silent because reasoning is the way one unenlightened mind argues. Right? When you have not studied anything, when you don't know anything, you put reasoning to it. Are you getting the point? Yeah, he must be there because as per this happens, right? So that kind of illogical or basically reasoning things, or the reason is given by people who are unenlightened. So Buddha understands that because they are unenlightened, they are talking like this. So technically, the truth is beyond reasoning. It is beyond logic, and it cannot be debated like you ask question and Buddha will give you a logic or reason. No, and that is the reason Buddha might be silent. So these 2-3 reasons you understand why he is silent, and there is there is nothing like he hates philosophy. It is not disdain or hate for philosophy. These are the reasons he was silent. So if a question arises why he was silent, you can answer that. Also, I discussed it because of Shunya. I wanted to talk about Shunya. So we are done with philosophy of Buddhism. Now let's talk about what happened after Buddha. Let's get back to the story. Philosophy is done, so let's get back to the story now. So now again coming back. So 463 BC, after death of Buddha, or after Buddha had gone, Magad had Ajatashatru as king. Ajatashatru, right? Ajatashatru is basically son of Bimbisara. Right, he's son of Bimbisara. So Bimbisara is dead now, and Ajatashatru is the king. And after the death of, or basically after Buddha has gone, he understands the importance of this moment, and he said that okay, the time has come to conduct one council. And here he conducts the first council. Right, he calls everyone, obviously all the monks and all the important monks, at Saptaparani cave. Saptaparani. Right, so there they conducted this meeting, and now Ajatashatru is of the view, basically what he wants to do. He wants to compile everything what Buddha has done and said. He wants to conclude the philosophy of Buddha. This is something which Buddha wanted. And that is the reason he had conducted this first council, the first meeting, right, in Saptaparani cave, and everybody is here, all the disciples, important disciples are here. So this council is headed by Mahakashya. So we can see it here instead of writing. Yeah. So I'll tell you what it is, but yeah. So yeah, the first council, Saptaparani cave, chairman is Mahakashya. And now they will have this debate, discussion, right, what Buddha said and all. And 2 important disciples. One is Anand. You remember Anand, cousin of Buddha. And another is Upali. So Anand is supposed to write Sutta Pitaka. So Pitaka means there is Pitaka basket, right? And people will have to write on the leaf and they put in the basket. So Sutta Pitaka. So Anand was very close to Buddha. So he had heard all the, he had listened to all the sermons. So he can tell what all things he had said, what all sermons he had given. So he was meant to, create the collection of Buddha's sermons. So Sutta Pitaka, and another one is Vinaya Pitaka, another book. Right? Vinaya means rules. Right? The rules. So another book is rules. So in this meeting, they will have that debate, discussion, and they will note down, they will note everything what Buddha has said and done, right? What are rules he has made, what are things he has said, all the things will be compiled. First council, 483 BC. This is happening in Magad, Rajgir. The capital of Magad is Rajgir right now. Now let's talk about Sutta Pitaka and Vinaya Pitaka. So now there are two books. One is Sutta Pitaka. Sutta Pitaka. Sutta Pitaka. Now UPSC 2022 has asked to recognize few books, whether they are Jain books or not, right? So that is the reason I want you to go through at least the names of the book, at least once, or basically whenever you revise, just try recognizing what the books are there. Understood? So that is the reason we are having this discussion. So Sutta Pitaka and Vinaya Pitaka. Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka. Now Sutta Pitaka has one book, Digha Nikaya. Digha Nikaya. Now Digha Nikaya are long sermons of Buddha. First of all, Sutta Pitaka is the sermon of Buddha. What all Buddha has said, written by, basically compiled by Anand. Right? And the main person who is actually reading this is Anand. Right? So Digha Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, Samyutta Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, Khuddaka Nikaya. Right? Khuddaka Nikaya. So Digha Nikaya is long sermon, Majjhima Nikaya is short sermon, basically medium sermon. Right? Majjhima Nikaya is the book where we find that statement that Dhamma is a raft. And once you get nirvana, you need to leave the raft. It is from here. Right? Then there is Samyutta Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya. Anguttara Nikaya, in Anguttara Nikaya, you will find that there is a mention of 16 Mahajanpadas, your next chapter. So this Anguttara Nikaya tells us about 16 Mahajanpadas, that there were 16 Mahajanpadas or 16 kingdoms at that point of time. Right? Then Khuddaka Nikaya, Khuddaka Nikaya. So Khuddaka Nikaya, you see there are 15 books in Khuddaka Nikaya. Now we are not going to read about all the books, but yes, there is one book, Thera Gatha. Thera. Now Thera is technically a monk. Gatha means story. So story of the monks of Buddhism. Similarly, Theri Gatha, Theri. Theri means Theri Gatha. This is Theri Gatha, Theri Gatha. Theri Gatha, Theri is your nun. Buddhist nun, female. So this book is technically stories of female nun. Right? Then there are Jataka stories. Jataka has a lot of stories of Buddha in his previous life. Right? It is written to inspire you, to basically create that ethical kandal, to tell us about previous births of Buddha. So it is the stories of previous births. Right? So many of the Jatak stories are very, very famous, like Shivi Jataka, right? Then there is the Monkey King, right? And so many of these stories you will find in the panel of Ajanta, Ellora, right? Or other Buddhist sculptures, maybe Bharut. Then Bharut was also having Monkey King. Then your Sanchi Stupa, right? So in Buddhist architecture, these Jatak stories are very, very common, right? Other than that, then there is a more book, Buddha Vamsa. Buddha Vamsa. This is hagiography of Buddha. Hagiography of Buddha. Right? Hagiography of Buddha. Now, what is hagiography? So, hagiography. So, when you talk about a saint, so this is technically biography of a sage or saint or some guru. It is called as hagiography. Right? And it's not called as biography, but it is called as hagiography. So, when you are writing biography of Buddha, it will not be called as biography of Buddha, but it will be called as hagiography of Buddha. What is the reason behind hagiography? Why we don't call it biography? We believe that hagiography has some divine connotation, right? It will be having some legends, some stories from the memory, right? Or maybe some miracles in it. So it is not a simple biography of a person, but somebody who is divine, somebody who is powerful. So instead of calling it as a biography, we'll call it a hagiography. Sorry. Yeah. What happened? Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So these are the important books of Sutta Pitaka. Now similarly. Next is your Vinaya Pitaka. Now Vinaya Pitaka is about rules of the Sangha, right? Vinaya Pitaka. So it has 3 books: Sutta Vibhanga, Khandaka, Parivara, right? Parivara. Now Sutta Vibhanga has Mahavibhanga and Bhikkhuni Vibhanga, right? Mahavibhanga and Bhikkhuni Vibhanga. Now Mahavibhanga is again about monks. It's about monks. Rules for the monks right here. Rules for monks. It's about rules only. It is for monks, how they should do it. And Bhikkhuni Vibhanga is about nuns, right? And so maybe you can make this chart. Let's quickly. So currently we are talking about first council. We are talking about Sutta Pitaka and Vinaya Pitaka. Vinaya Pitaka. Right? Vinaya Pitaka has Sutta Vibhanga, and 2 other. This one is indexed, so not very useful. Then there is Mahavibhanga and Bhikkhuni Vibhanga. So Maha is for monks and Bhikkhuni is for nuns. I think if you make this chart once on your own, right, things will become very, very simple. Right? Then similarly, great. Okay. Then Khandaka. One book is Khandaka here. Khandaka has again 2 books or 2 volumes. One is Mahavagga, one is Chulvagga. Mahavagga, another one is Chulvagga. Mahavagga is basically episodes from Buddha's life. This is episodes from Buddha's life. And Chulvagga is your account of first council and updated for second council as well. So later on it will be updated as well. Right, so now since UPSC is asking, or basically is into a lot into books, right? They are asking a lot about literature. That is the reason these are important books. Right, so Vinaya Pitaka. By the way, we'll see the question. Theri Gatha they have already asked. Right, and so yeah, so they can ask more from here. So Sutta Pitaka we were discussing this only. Vinaya Pitaka we have discussed. Let's move to second Buddhist council. Coming back, second Buddhist council. Now second Buddhist council conducted around almost after 100 plus years. around 383 BC. Right, 383 BC, and this happened at Vaishali. This is second council, and this is happening at Vaishali. Right, this is happening at Vaishali. Now the time has changed. After 100 years, now coming to second council is your 383 BC, and venue is Vaishali, and chairman is Sabakami. Now there is a new dynasty, Shishunaga. Right, and a Shishunaga dynasty. The king is Kal Ashoka. He's not Ashoka. He's Kal Ashoka. Right now, what happens with the time? No, with the time, the religion or the tenets told by the guru, people come back with some new concept, new ideas. Right, and they say, we should do this, we should try this. Basically, you say that there is different perspective in religion. Right, and suppose initially we were all coming from the Rig Vedic time, we were having some perspective about religion, but later on there was Vaishnavism, Shaivism, right, Shaktism, right, so different schools come into existence. So similarly, with the time, with these 100 years, now monks of Vaishali, right, monks of Vaishali, now they are challenging the original trend, original thing, and now we have like schism over here. Now there are two sects, Thavirvadins and Mahasangikas. Yeah, so now there are Thavirvadins, right, and Mahasangikas. Now Thavirvadins is like your Amitabh Bachchan, Hera, Thavirvadin. Thavirvadin, who wants to stick to the previous, you can say the traditional concept, what Buddha has said, right? Exactly what Buddha has said. So Thavirvadins are those who believe in that, Jai Parampara Anushasan, right? Ki no, I will not change whatever was told by Buddha. This is something we will follow. So those, people, they will be called as elders. Hera means elders. So Thavirvadins, the word Hera comes from Thavirvadins only, and they believe in the original teachings of Buddha, right? So he is the one who believes into the original teachings of the Buddha. But then there are others, right, who are Mahasangikas, who believe in some liberal thought, who wants to say that whatever Buddha has said, we will follow in principle, but we will apply new things to it. We will, it will be more liberal. It will not be very, very tough. Right now it's very tough to get nirvana. Right, it's tough to reach nirvana. That personal pursuit path is tough. Right, we all cannot do that. So we need to change it so that it is applicable for more people. It is easier to follow. So now there is a great community coming in. They'll be called as Mahasangika. Right, and now this interpretation is much more liberal than before. Let me get this timeline. So within 100 years, on the second council, we are observing that there is a split. Right, there are Thavirvadins who want to stick to the original teachings, and then there are Mahasangikas who are very much liberal in the thought. Mahasangikas, right, in Vaishali. So this is the second council. The third council is close to 250 BC, and now Ashok has come. This is conducted by Ashoka. Now Ashoka will take things to a new level, right? Ashoka first of all believes that there should be no split. He cannot support both. So this one is third council. This one is at Patliputra. And Ashoka decides not to support Mahasangikas. Right? Ashoka decides not to support Mahasangikas. Ashoka only supports Thavirvadins. And they will be called as, so technically there is only one which is Thera. Only they will be supported. Ashoka is not a supporter of splits. Right? A lot of inscriptions he has written. He has written in those inscriptions that you should not, the monks should not create schism. Right? They should not create splits. Right? You should not also try to convert others. You should also not try to demean the religion of others. So Ashoka is very strict with respect to this, and he is not at all in the favor of any kind of split, any kind of schism. So what has happened over here in Ashoka's time? Right, President is Mogali Pothitissa. Now all these factual part gradually you remember. Right, focus on Ashoka, Patliputra 250 BC. Right, so now he wants to purify Buddhist movement, and he will spell 60,000 monks. Right, saying that they are not following the right Jai Buddhism. Only supported whom? Only supported Parampara Pratishtha Anushasan. Only supported Amitabh Bachchan. Thera. So he is supporting Thera over here. Right, so for some time, Mahasangikas will have this setback. Right, we'll come to Mahasangika, but also this is the point, the third council, where Abhidhamma Pitaka, the third Pitaka, Abhidhamma Pitaka will be written. Right, we can write it here also. Now there is only Thera, Thervada Buddhism, supported Theravada, and also there is only one book being written down, or basically he will ask to create a set or a book which talks about the philosophy of Buddha. That's the whole compilation. Right, the philosophy of Buddha will be written in Abhidhamma Pitaka. It is mostly in question answer form, so that it's easy to comprehend. Right, Abhidhamma Pitaka was written during Ashoka's time. So now we have Abhidhamma Pitaka also. Right, Abhidhamma Pitaka. Now few books, right, Dhamma Sangani, Vibhanga, Dhatu Katha, Uggala Pantu, Kathavattu, Yamaka, Tattvana, right, all these books are part of, 7 books are part of Abhidhamma Pitaka. Right, this is technically what? This is summary. This is Buddhist psychology. This is summary, right? Whatever Buddha has taught and all, the whole summary exists in Abhidhamma Pitaka. And from Abhidhamma Pitaka, there comes a new religion, Sarvastivadin. Right, Sarvastivadin, Sarva Asti. So Sarva Asti means everything happens, or everything exists. Sarva means everything, all. Asta means exists, all exists. So here what this Buddhism is saying, this theory believes in that whatever dharma we experience, whatever truth we experience was always there. It had always been there. Right? It was there in past, it is there in present, it will always be there in the future. So this concept of Sarva Asti Vadin, right, is derived from Abhidhamma Pitaka. Right, now we have some schools as well, Vibhasika, Darshantikas, Swatantrikas, So Sarvastivadin. So this is your third Buddhist council by Ashoka, where we have Abhidhamma Pitaka and a philosophy coming out of Abhidhamma Pitaka, which is Sarvastivadin, which believes that everything, all exists ever, right, in past, in future, and today. Sarvastivadin. This is third Buddhist council. Now, meanwhile, first of all, the Mahasangikas are expelled. Then, after Ashoka, a new dynasty comes. After Ashoka, basically after Mauryas, this will come, right? We'll study all this, but before that, we must understand what happened to Buddhism. So Mauryans, after Mauryans came Pushyamitra Sunga. Pushmitra Sunga was very angry. Was very angry with Mauryaans. Why? Because Pushmitra Sunga is a Brahmin, and you realize that at this point of time, basically in the time of Ashoka, Buddhism was flourishing. Brahmanism was not flourishing. So this person is initially anti-Buddhist, and now he will start executing Buddhists, and Buddhists will go and they will actually occupy this area, Kashmir and all, Gandhara, Kashmir, etc. Gandhara area. Again, the story will come again. So just try to understand the concept, right? The story will come again once we will study Maurya, once we study the decline of Maurya, then how Pushmitra Sunga comes. So the story will come back, right? And we'll revise this concept again and again. But right now we should see the whole path, how this happened. So now, so Buddhists were basically residing in Kashmir part, right? And then there is invasion from this side, Kushan invasion, right? And the king was Kanishka. Now Kanishka got in touch with Buddhism, right? Kanishka got in touch with Buddhism, and now Kanishka is the one who will conduct the third council. I'm sorry, the fourth council. Yeah. Now he will conduct the fourth council close to 78 AD. This is conducted by Kanishka, and this is happening in Kashmir. Now this council is about your Mahasanghikas. They are back, right? And now basically what is happening? Now at this point there are a lot of schools of Buddhism, right? So somebody has to compile these schools. Somebody has to segregate, right? So at this point this segregation has happened. And now at this point this is supporting Mahasanghikas, and Mahasanghikas will be called as Mahayana Buddhism. Mahayana. Right? And it will be decided that all these sects come under Mahayana, and the remaining sect will come under Theravada, which was originally Sthavivadin. So now Theravada will be given a new name. Theravada will be given a new name, Hinayana, and all other sects will come under Hinayana. So it is more like the fourth council is more like the consolidation of different schools. Right? Let me show you different schools. Yeah. See. So now the Mahasanghikas will have Ek Vyavaharika, Bahushutiya, Lokattarvadin, then Pranapatiwada, then Kaukutikas, then Aparita, then Uparasaila, then Chatyaka. Similarly, Sthavivadin have Sarvastivadin, right? Then Hemavata, then Chanagrika, then Mahisasaka, etc. There are Swatantrika as well, Swatantrika, Samitiya, etc. Right? So these are around 11 and these are 8. Just a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 3, 6, 2, 8. Yes, 8. And these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 11. 8 and 11. Right? So this consolidation happened in the fourth Buddhist council. It is also believed that this council was not attended by Sthavivadins. Basically, this school will be called as Theravada. I'm sorry, Hinayana. And this school will be called as Mahayana. What is the difference between Hinayana and Mahayana? Hinayana follow original teaching, right? And Mahayana are the liberal teaching, right? They are liberal. So all these schools are close to liberal thought, and all these schools are they are close to original thought. So there is consolidation. There is Hinayana Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism. So this is how your four councils have happened. The fourth Buddhist council, then your third Buddhist council. Where is the timeline? Yes. So quick conclusion. What happened? Again, first council happened at the death of Buddha, right? 463 BC. This was conducted by Ajatashatru, right, son of Bimbisara. Why? Because he wanted to compile, he wanted to write down what all things have said by Buddha and what all rules were made by Buddha. So here we saw two kind of books. One is Sutta Pitaka, and another one is Vinaya Pitaka. Now after 100 years, there was some differences between the monks, and then there is a new council, Vaishali, by Kalashoka. And now we see that there is some different thought. Mahasanghikas came into picture, who are rebels in thought, right? They don't believe in the ideal or whatever Buddha has said exactly. They believe in the principle, but not in the actual thought or the actual path. Whereas the other ones, Sthavivadins, believed exactly in what Buddha had said, right? So again, there is a split over here. So in this council, the split was acknowledged. Third council by Ashoka at Patliputra, he is the one who does not like split, and he expels Mahasanghikas. So some 60,000 Mahasanghikas, basically monks, were expelled, and he supported the original one, Sthavivadins, and now they will be called as Theravada. Theravada. So from Sthavivadin it became Theravada. Also the third book, Abhidhamma Pitaka, was compiled, from which another philosophy came, a new school came, which followed Abhidhamma Pitaka, which is Sarvastivadin. Now, we realize how a lot of Buddhists have moved to Kashmir, the northern part. Now, 78 AD, when Kanishka came into picture, he followed, or basically he got in touch with the Mahasanghika Buddhism. This was Buddhism, right? And he conducted the fourth Buddhist council at Kashmir, right? And here that segregation happened. Things were segregated into Hinayana and Mahayana. All the Theravada Buddhism people will become Hinayana, and all the Mahasanghika people will become Mahayana. Also, Kanishka supported Mahayana, not the Hinayana. So Mahayana will get more support from Kanishka. A new philosophy comes into picture from Mahayana. Now, why are we studying this? This has a lot of impact on philosophy. This has a lot of impact on the dominant religion. Right, but let's consume till this point. Are you all aligned till this point? Fourth Buddhist council. Yeah, a quick chat, 1 minute chat, and then we'll understand what is the difference between Hinayana and Mahayana. That's the next topic that we'll try to understand the difference between Hinayana and Mahayana. The fourth council in 78 AD, basically now there are so many schools. There are like 18 schools floating around. Now you don't know which school to follow, right? It's very tough to understand which is right Buddhism, what is the underlying philosophy. Should I follow Lokattarvadin? Should I follow Samitiya? Should I follow Swatantrika? Right? They're very, very confusing. So now it is very much required. That is, what is required is to consolidate under two heads. One is Hinayana, who are the original teaching people, who believe that Buddha is Guru. Right? All the schools which believe that Buddha is Guru will come under Hinayana. Those 11 schools which you saw. Right? We'll see them again. Don't worry, I'll teach Mahayana and Hinayana. All the schools which believe that Buddha is beyond Guru, he's like God. Mahayana, right? All those schools will come here. So now they have actually segregated, right? They have consolidated. All these schools will come under one school, one head, which is Mahayana. All these schools will come under one head, which is Hinayana. Also, it is believed that this council was not attended by them, but mainly all those who are part of Mahayana. Understood? Yeah? Mainly all those who are part of Mahayana. So yeah, so Kanishka supported Mahayana. So from here, the next story starts. What is Hinayana and Mahayana? Jatakatha is in Sutta Pitaka. so Vinay Pitaka, we were not talking about Jatak Katha. It is Mahavagga, some episodes from Buddha, right? Hai na? Then Sutta Pitaka, if you see, actually Sutta Pitaka, this diagram is a bit confusing. So Sutta Pitaka, this part is, I should not be deleting. Yeah, okay. So Sutta Pitaka is basically this line, these 5 books, right? Digi Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, Samyutta Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, and Khuddaka Nikaya. Then Khuddaka Nikaya has 15 books. Next line is Khuddaka Nikaya. When you have this 15, you go through this again, right? And so Khuddaka Nikaya has 15 books. In those 15 books, there is Thera Gatha, Theri Gatha, Jataka, Buddha Vamsa. Right? This is how it is. Yeah. Segregation means you need to segregate, you need to separate, right? Separation. There are like, let's say 18 types of schools and you need to separate, right? Which is about what? I'm very confused. I don't know what is Lokatarwadi, right? So I need to segregate, I need to put it under one head. Okay, this is Lokatarwadi. Understood? No, see again, this is Pali, right? All the words are in Pali. You are looking at it for the very first time. So you think that this is like bit hard, a bit tough. But it is only factual. Since you are looking at it for the very first time, so you might feel you're overwhelming and all. But otherwise it's not at all tough. It's very simple, right? You'll be able to recognize 2-3 revisions and after that you'll be like, I know. Important part is you should understand the story which we are discussing. Tell the story. If you understand the flow, right, how it is happening, then you can relate things, right? Then you can understand how it is, how all things happen. Pali part of Indo-European language, yes, it is part of Ireland. Do we need to remember all the books? You need to recognize all the books. Yeah, let's stop the chat here. June Fastos is requesting, sir, please stop the chat and let's continue our discussion. Yeah, thank you, June, for reminding. Okay, so let's go ahead. Yeah, so these 11 are Savirvada because there you're not able to read properly. So yeah, here. So Sarvastivada. So Sarvastivada, Hemavatas, Vastiputras, Samitya, Dharmotarya, Bhadranya, Sangarika, at least you should be able to recognize. Lokattarvada, this has already been asked. Right, UPSC has already asked you to recognize Swatantrika and Samitya. So now you can understand UPSC is already at this level. Right, when they are at this level, then you are not safe. You have to study all this. They had asked you whether it is, they had not asked whether it is Mahayan or Hindyan. They had asked whether it is Jainism or Buddhism. Right, at least this much we should be able to recognize. Right, so please, I'll show you the questions. This is the question. With reference to the religious history of India, consider the following statements. 2017 question. Swatantrika and Samitya were the sects of Jainism. Yeah, so if you think that UPSC has not reached at this point, it's already there. Sarvastivada inherited that the constituents of phenomena were not wholly momentary, but existed forever in a latent form. Now again, this question, I'll not say that this question is easy, right? This is not at all easy. Why? Swatantrika and Samitya, teachers were not teaching till this point, till 2017. Because nobody thought that UPSC can reach to this point. Swatantrika and Samitya, you need to segregate and all. Right, so yeah, so it was after that now it's common, you find it in every book and everywhere. But yeah, and that is the reason we are going deep in philosophy. So that at least the basic philosophy, the core philosophy we should understand. Now Sarvastivada they have asked, is it really possible to go back and study the philosophy of all these? Make sense? Should we do that? No, it's not feasible. It is not possible. So this question is not at all easy. Since it's already asked, honestly, that is the reason people are teaching this, and that is the reason I'm also teaching this. Sarvastivada, Sarvasti, all exist forever. So now you can take this. But otherwise, this question I'm not at all claiming that this is an easy question. This is a very tough question. Where they have asked about a sub branch, they have asked about the theory of the sub branch. We cannot go to this extent, right? Otherwise, you'll be only studying ancient India. So my submission is that few things will have to let go. See, if there are simple questions like about philosophy and all, this is one of the exceptions. Otherwise they have asked simple questions from the Buddhism part. Last year also they had asked literature, but it was simple, it was predictable. Jail literature they had asked. Right, so it was easily predictable. So I'm not saying 100% of the answers you'll be able to mark, but yes, some years there might be a possibility that they can go to they can define a new high, and then then that high will not be something which will be able to attend that particular year. But again, if you will not be able to attend, believe me, nobody else in the country can do that, right? So don't worry about that. We are studying beyond what everybody is studying, and if you are somebody who is cannot attend a question in 2024 from ancient India, believe me, nobody else can do that. Right? So have that confidence. Yeah, but this question honestly is tough. Yeah, this question definitely is tough. What you can do just to relate to what I'm saying, right? Go on YouTube and you can say there are n number of videos on ancient India, on Buddhism, right? Pick any, randomly any, right? And you will find that 2x more than what they have taught, right? Understood? So let's continue. Okay, so yeah. So we were discussing literature. That is all. Okay. So we are discussing literature. These literature we have already discussed. Buddha Charita and also I will talk about more literature and culture course. Today we are not going into deep into literature. We'll see literature in the culture part, right? So but my submission again, my point is that please do read. There are a lot of Sanskrit texts written like Buddha Charita, Sundarananda, etc. Then Buddha Charita is important, Sundarananda is important. At least this list is whole important. Let's not mark one. At least you can say all these are important because it is there in this list. Okay, so yeah, so by the way, I'm at least Buddhist text you have to study as homework. Right, this is homework and you have to study. I'm not saying you need to mug up. Just go through these slides and we will get back to these slides again. We'll get back to this discussion again while we are studying your culture, literature, right? So in literature we'll see this again. Okay, let's move ahead. Yeah. Actually, the reason why I don't want to go into this, the reason is that there are few stories which are yet to be told, right? Though I told you about Kanishka, Ashoka, but still not assimilated, right? You don't relate with Kanishka today. I want you to tell Kanishka first. I want you to know Milinda first, right? And then Milind Anho will make sense. Are you getting the point? And so I want you to understand the Kanishka and his courtiers, and then when we talk about these books, they will make much more sense. Okay, so that is the reason not today. Let's complete the ancient India and see literature in art and culture. Okay, so this was the question asked last year. 2022, with reference to the Indian history, consider the following text, right? Neti Pakarana, Pashishta Parvan, Avadana Shataka, and Trishasti Lakshana Mahapurana. Since we have left literature, so yes, we can skip this. But yes, last year also this question came from our class only. Though this is considered to be the very one of the toughest question, but this was from our discussion in the class, and this was easy for us. Pashishta Parvan I had quoted multiple times, right? It has nothing to do with Buddhism. This is a Jain book. Similarly, Avadana is something related to Buddhism, right? Similar to Jatak stories. And only this much is enough to answer this question, right? So yeah, so this was from our discussion. So don't worry. I'm saying if the question is very tough, nobody will be able to do it apart from you, right? But it is a possibility that only you are going to do these questions. Okay, so we are done with Buddhist council. Let's talk about Buddhist schools. Let's talk about Mahayana and Heenyan. What is Mahayana and Heenyan? Right, different schools of Buddhism. Right, almost the last part. Shall we continue? Yeah, shall we? Any issue? That is one minute chat. Can we continue for half an hour more, please? Yeah, Kef. Okay, mixed response. So that means at least continue for one school. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So let's at least study Heenyan. Right. Let's not go into Mahayan, but at least Heenyan. Tomorrow we'll see Mahayan. Right. So at least this much we should do. Okay. So now one of the one of you is asking, sir, why Buddhism did not believe in God? Yeah. Okay. Think about this, man. What good question. Okay. Chalo. So yeah. So Theravada or technically Heenyan Buddhism. Now if you see. Yeah, okay. Sorry. So now if you see Theravada or Heenyan Buddhism is now mainly in Southeast Asia. Right, this part is your Theravada or Heenyana Buddhism. Now, what is Theravada or Heenyana Buddhism? Heenyana and Mahayana. Right. Now, Maha matlab greater vehicle. Right. Yan means vehicle, and Heen means lesser. Lesser. So it is lesser vehicle. So technically, it means that in Heenyan, Buddha is lesser vehicle. Buddha is Guru. Buddha is equals to Guru. Right. But in Mahayana, he is greater vehicle. So here we are talking about celestial Buddha. Right, we are talking about celestial form of Buddha, a form of Buddha which is living somewhere in space. Right, who is the celestial body. Right, so celestial Buddha, and we call him Amitabha or Amitayus. Right, now again, what if you want Nirvana here? Nirvana can be reached by personal pursuit, whatever you know. Right, this is what Buddha had taught. Right, you need to walk on that Ashtangika Marg and then you get Nirvana. Right, but here Nirvana can be achieved by grace of Buddha. Grace of Buddha means Tathastu. Right, if you worship Buddha, if you pray to Buddha, and if you believe in Buddha, and Buddha, by the grace of Buddha or by the blessings of Buddha, you can get Nirvana. Right, so you see a major difference in approach. In fact, the language over here is Pali. Right, and the language over here is Sanskrit. Right, so complete shift in philosophy has happened from Heenyan to Mahayana. Heenyan, who had stick to the original philosophy, who believed that Buddha is human, Buddha is a guru, whose teaching was great. Right, we need to follow that teaching. Right, it is lesser vehicle. And now for him, as per Heenyana, Nirvana is about personal pursuit. You need to walk and find Nirvana yourself. But here in Mahayana Buddha, it is greater vehicle, it is celestial Buddha, and Amitabha and Amitayush, and you can get Nirvana by the grace of Buddha. Now you can understand that this path is easier, right? It is easy to follow, so they will have more followers because you don't have to go for a personal pursuit. It is only about worshipping Buddha, and you can get Nirvana. Also, a new concept from this whole thing, came into picture, concept of Bodhisattvas. Right, Bodhisattvas. Now you can understand that Mahayana will be impacted or will be influenced a lot by Hinduism. Right, a lot of gods, you can say Avatar of Buddha, you will find that they are very close to the Hindu gods. Right, again, Sanskrit was the language of Brahmanism. Right, Sanskrit was the language of Brahmanism, it's a Vedic language. And now if you see that now they have moved into Sanskrit, it means they are somewhat, or basically they are very much impressed by, you can say, the Vedic gods and all, and they want to emulate, or they want to create something close to Hindu gods. Again, do not write all this. Right, this is for our internal discussion to understand the process. But otherwise, we won't write about a religion how it was copied or basically it was emulated from somebody. I'm not sure. I'm just saying. Right, do not quote me anyway. Right, I'm just saying it must have happened like this because there is a lot of similarity. Right, that's how we conclude like this. I'll show you Bodhisattvas. You might feel the same. I felt so, and I might be wrong, purely wrong. Okay, so Bodhisattvas, you will find they are the like the name suggests, Bodhisattvas, Tattva of Buddha, essence of Buddha. Right? They are the one who are on the path of Nirvana, but they are delaying Nirvana so that they can help others. Are you getting the point? They are mostly like gods. They are mostly like gods as we see in Hinduism, right? Who have different functions. For example, somebody taking care of health, somebody taking care of knowledge, right? We have, for example, in Hinduism we have Saraswati. In Bodhisattva we have Manjushri, right? In Hinduism we have Kalki Avatar. Here we will be having Maitri Avatar. We'll see. Don't worry. So Bodhisattvas, we will see that Bodhisattvas are the Buddha who are not getting Nirvana, or basically who will get Nirvana, but they have delayed the process so that meanwhile they will be able to help the mankind. They can only bless the mankind. So we have a new concept of Bodhisattvas over here, and we will worship the Bodhisattvas in the Mahayana Buddhism. Right? So let's go through the slides once. Heenyana. Where is Heenyana? Lesser vehicle. Yeah. Lesser vehicle. Original teaching, doctrines of elders. It is called as doctrine of elders. Treats Buddha as human being, does not believe in any idol worship. No idol worship. Yeah, this is also vision mark. Right? Idol worship, no idol worship. Murti puja, right? Worship. Idol worship, no. But here, Bodhisattvas, idols will be there. Yes. Right? And idol worship. Okay. What else? Individual salvation through self-discipline and meditation. Yes. Ultimate of Heenyana is thus Nirvana. Southern Buddhist religion. Reason. Southern Buddhist religion. Southern side mein hai aajkal. Right? Yeah. So we can find Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, etc. Yeah, this is Heenyana. This was patronized by Ashoka. Now we know this. Now if you see the Mahayana, right? Now Mahayana we see greater vehicle, right? Originated later than Heenyana. We know this. Now there are sub schools, Madhyamika, Yogacara. I tell you about them. Right? Now Sanskrit is important over here. Philosophy you see treats Buddha as God. Worship idols of Buddha. So now idol worship will start. Right? Now Bodhisattvas, embodying Bodha nature. That's Tattva of Buddha, essence of Buddha. Right? Now they believe in universal liberation. We all can be liberated together. Right? And there is the possibility of universal liberation. Right? Ultimate aim, instead of Nirvana, we should say spiritual upliftment. We will have spiritual upliftment, and salvation or Nirvana can happen by grace. Right? By the grace of Amitabha Buddha. Understood? It believes in mantras also. You can write this down as well. Right? They believe in bodhisattvas plus mantra. Again, is it going close to Hinduism? Yes, it is going close to Hinduism. Right? Okay. Again, anything else? Mahayana? Okay. Yeah. So some schools is Madhyamika and Shunyavada. Madhyamika, Shunyavada. Now Shunyavad. Shunyavad is technically propounded by Nagarjuna. Right? Okay. Okay. Now we get back to Shunyavada again. So bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas we are discussing. Some people who have the avatar of Buddha, or basically those beings who have delayed their enlightenment, will be called as bodhisattvas. This is Amitabha. Right? Now you see that now we have statue of Amitabha. Right? We need to worship the statue of Amitabha. So now it is about idol worship. Now we are basically looking for the grace from Amitabha. Right? Amitabha should bless us, and then we can have spiritual upliftment. Then we can have nirvana as well. Right? There are more bodhisattvas. I'll teach you, but not here. Yeah. So in 2016 they had asked this question over bodhisattva. With reference to the religious history of India, consider the following statements. The concept of bodhisattva is central to Hinayana sect of Buddhism. Bodhisattva is compassionate one on his way to enlightenment. Bodhisattva delays achieving his own salvation to help all sentient beings on their path to it. Asaan hai? Yeah, easy. No, Bodhisattva is not Buddha. Bodhisattva is a form of Buddha. Right? And it's basically you can say that they're mostly you can say that they're like avatar of Buddha. But not Buddha. Bodhisattvas are the one who are on the path of nirvana. They're like Buddha. Yeah, okay. So first of all, Bodhisattva is centered to not Hinayana, it is Mahayana. Hinayana believes that Buddha is Guru, right? So this is wrong. So one is wrong and one is wrong, the two only and two and three. Right, so two is already correct. Awesome. Now Bodhisattva delays achieving his own salvation, help all sentient beings, etc. etc. Three is also correct. So B answer 2 and 3. Right, B. Now you all have changed your answer. Somebody was marking something different as well. But no issues, it's okay. Right. And read the questions very, very carefully. UPSC questions, there is nothing like your fastest finger. You need to read the question well and you'll be able to get that. Now Madhyamika is also called as Shunyavada or Nisvabhavada. Let's just conclude it. Right, founder is Nagarjuna. Now he wrote this book Madhyamika Karika, which explains the philosophy of Madhyamika. Philosophy of Madhyamika is what? Shunya. Again, the same emptiness which I have taught you. All the reality the reality in truth is basically Shunya. There is no sensory mediation. So all phenomena, all dharmas, right, whatever we are experiencing are technically empty, Shunya. Right, and this we have already seen, so we know Madhyamika. Similarly, Yogacara. There are some other names of Yogacara. Vijnanavada. No, I know. I'm just telling you, and you need to revise the data. Vijnanavada is about consciousness. It's about perception. It's about representation. It's about passion. Right? So yeah, the Vijnanavada, Vimpatiyatra, Matratavada. Founder is Maitreya. Now, the only thing which Yogacara adds is that yes, our mind shows us a lot of imaginary things. Not imaginary, but you can say our mind is reason behind what. Our mind is the reason behind so many feelings and all, which basically disturbs us, right? Or basically comes in the path of salvation, right? So whatever such things are, all the sufferings, etc., are basically because of the mind, right? So it is saying that arising of the suffering is because of working of our mind. Again, suppose you had a breakup, right? And after breakup, you can decide to feel very, very bad, or you can decide that some of the people you must have seen that it hardly mattered to them, right? But for few it matters a lot, right? So basically, maybe you can say that it is their mind, or basically the strength or the emotional strength, or basically the strength of the mind, which helps them, right? I'm not talking about breakup, but any failure, any setback. Some people take it like it's okay, part of the life, right? But some are very much worried, or you can say engrossed in it, right? Because our mind tells us that this is suffering. You can control this via meditation and yoga. This philosophy is of Yogacara. Very, very simple, nothing new, right? We understand this already. Okay, so yeah, so let's conclude for today. Now there's a third school, which is Vajrayana. I'll talk about Tathagata tomorrow. Right, tomorrow we conclude this and move to Jainism. Right, so we are almost at the end of the chapter. Yeah, okay. So now this was basically a philosophy, true, right? But gradually, once you segregate from the society, following a new philosophy, you become a new community. And once you become a new community, you can be called as part of a new religion. So gradually, you can say that a challenging philosophy becomes a challenging religion. Why people didn't believe in God in Buddhism? Because Buddha didn't believe in God. Well, Buddha has not discussed God anywhere. Right? His philosophy is not dependent on God. Your nirvana or personal pursuit is not at all dependent upon God. Right? And whether Buddha believed in God or not, we don't know. Because he's smiled, right? He didn't say that whether he believes in God or not. But his philosophy is agnostic to God. Right? There is no God in Buddhist philosophy. Yeah? So please do read. So many facts, so many new facts and all are there. Right? And how did you learn these names? See, once you understand the philosophy and basically the story, right? You can understand, you can basically relate. So gradually it will become yours. Right? It's a very you can say a new terrain for you. Those of you, for example, Tathagata Garva, the philosophy is so beautiful. The philosophy is so good that once you understand the whole philosophy, then becomes you start following it. Yeah, in fact, you will start giving example everywhere. Right? And your father will say something, you will tell your father that Papa, yeah, that all those things will start to happen. Right? So this is something which can become part of your life. Right? So yeah, Madhyamika is technically Shunyavad only. Right? This believes that whatever dharma, whatever our experiences are, right, and all those experiences are basically Shunya. Right? In reality, it is Shunya. It is empty in nature. Right? Only again, we cannot go very deep into the philosophy of all the schools. It is impossible, and that is the reason I'm just telling you. Basically, I'm also only interested in the surface of these philosophies like Madhyamika, Yogacara, and all. Right? Buddhist philosophy we had gone very deep because it makes sense. But in the some schools we cannot go that deep. Otherwise, this will become like graduation course for us. It will be like 1,000 hours course. So yeah, the Madhyamika is basically related to Shunyavad only, which basically propounds that whatever our experiences are, they are Shunya. It's empty in nature. It is devoid of any kind of sensory mediation. It is devoid of any kind of emotion. That is Madhyamika, given by Nagarjuna. Yeah. Okay. Class is over. Yes, you can drop now. And according to mythology, Buddha was Avatar of Vishnu. Yeah, that mythology will come later. The time will come where I tell you that Buddha was declared as Avatar of Vishnu. Good sign. Okay. Yeah, class is over. Please feel free to drop off. I'm just having concluding discussion. Okay. Okay. Good. Yeah. Glad to know that. Okay. Is Heenyana still practicing today? But yeah, in your Southeast Asia, yes, it is still practiced. Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. This week, please manage because now we should not. We made two major decisions of time change today, so let's not make any new change now, and we can change the timing from the next week Monday. Buddhism of the philosophy and how it became a religion. We already answered this, no? सुन भी तो लो क्या कह रहा हूँ. Buddhism of the philosophy, yes, it's a challenging philosophy, but then all those who will start following this alternate philosophy, they become a community different from Brahmanism. So automatically they become like a new religion, right? A new community. Madhyamika and Mahayana, same name. Madhyamika is sub school of Mahayana, right? Madhyamika and Yogacara both, they are sub school of Mahayana. Is Dalai Lama on Bodhisattva? No, Dalai Lama is Guru, right? We'll come to Dalai Lama. Time will come. Wait for it, right? It's there. Everything is there. Don't worry. Okay. Okay, guys. Yeah, I'll have a poll on Telegram, right, to understand how many of you are aligned with 5:30 or 6. Yeah. Okay, guys. See you again tomorrow, right? But please do read, right? Do read the slides, right? And then we will come back to the discussion again tomorrow. Yeah. Okay.